Got it.
Okay.
So how is everyone doing?
Good.
Good.
We're okay
Yep,
here.
Arlene.
Arlene, I know Arlene is worried. So sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah,
He's safe, he's out of surgery, so that's good.
Can
I mean,
I put him back on Mishabera?
Sure. Thank you.
Of course. Of course.
send our best wishes, Arlene.
I
Yes.
will. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so I had fun with this particular topic when I was compiling together the sources for the Torah study. So I'm going to share the screen in a second. Here we go.
Oh, okay.
So I named it "It Stays in the Family." I thought it was like the most appropriate title because we're talking about the land that would be, you know, within the tribe, right? So that doesn't go from tribe to tribe. Very interesting topic, but it also is interesting how the women are involved here who inherit the land, but at the same time, they're not supposed to get it because they're women. So actually, let me get one book before I start. Hold on 1 second. Okay, I'm back. So who wants to read? How about Bob, Numbers 36?
Okay. Number 36:1. The
Mhm.
family heads in the clan of the descendants of Gilead, son of Machir, son of Manasseh, one of the Josephite clans, came forward and appealed to Moses and the chieftains, family heads of the Israelites. Should we keep going?
No. So
Okay.
on this, because I needed the introduction, okay? So Bava Batra 121, that's from the Talmud. Don, you want to read? Rav Yehuda?
Sure. Rav Yehuda says
No,
that
Bob, I said Don.
Ah,
It's okay.
well, sorry.
I want to make
No
sure
problem,
that
Bob.
he has
Oh,
a turn.
okay, don't talk to me anymore.
Okay. Rav Yehuda says that Shmuel says, thus the day when the members of the different tribes were permitted to marry into one another's tribe. Such marriages were restricted for the first generation to enter Eretz Yisrael, as discussed above. What verse did the sages of that time interpret in support of their conclusion that this was halakha and was no longer in effect? The verse states, this is the matter, from Numbers 36:6, meaning this matter shall be practiced only in this generation in which Eretz Yisrael is being divided among the tribes.
Right. So again, we're not going to dwell much on this. I just wanted to bring this verse as an introduction to the fact that we're going to be talking about division of the land of Eretz Yisrael. And one more from Ta'anit 30b. Who wants to read?
All right.
I couldn't do it.
Marsha, okay.
However, what is the special joy of the 15th of Av? Rav Yehuda said that Shmuel said, this was the day on which the members of different tribes were permitted to enter one another's tribe by intermarriage. It was initially prohibited to intermarry between tribes, so as to keep each plot of land within the portion of the tribe that originally inherited it. This is halakha. This halakha was instituted by the Torah in the wake of a complaint by the relatives of the daughters of Zelophehad, who were worried that if these women married men from other tribes, the inheritance of Zelophehad would be lost from his tribe.
So again, this is the introduction. It's interesting how in the Talmud, we are reading about the marriage basically within the family, right? And we know that some of the hereditary diseases in among Jews, they're caused by intermarriage within the family between cousins, right? And that dates back a long time. so that they stay within, either so that land stays within the tribe, or that certain, now we have various, within the Orthodoxy, various groups that they don't want people to marry even into a different group, being that Satmar or Babov, they're sticking within their group. They don't want their children to marry, even if it's an ultra-Orthodox group. It's not good enough. It has to be their own group. Have you heard of that?
Yes.
Any comments on this?
Is that for the males as well?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yep. So very, I would say very tough restrictions. There are still, to this day, some of the Orthodox communities are practicing that. As a matter of fact, hold on, I'm going to show you a book. I told Emily, my older one, she read on Orthodox. She said she finished it in 2 days. By the way, the book is much better than the show. I personally did not quite like the show, but it's personal taste, matter of their personal taste. So there are quite a few books on people who had left the Orthodox environment. And I promised her I'll bring another one. So this is the book that I read, and it was handy because I picked it so that I can bring it to her. All Who Go Do Not Return. Do you hear about this book?
No.
Really, so I even was thinking at some point to reach out to the author, who's a young guy and journalist, lives in Brooklyn. It's a memoir by Shulam Dean. So he lived in upstate New York in Satmar community. I think it was something like similar to Satmar community. And he wrote the memoir. I mean, sometimes it's really like chilling that some of the experience is crazy. So anyway, really good book. I recommend strongly. All Who Go Do Not Return.
Interestingly, I was looking for something in one of my cabinets last night, and that title on a book caught my eye. And I thought, gee, I'll have to look at that. I didn't remember it. So now I think it was that title, because it should be Not All Who Go Return. My grammar part was saying, nah, it's not quite right. More poetic this way. So apparently I have the book.
When was it written?
When? Let me see. It's a relatively recent book. Hold on. I mean, the guy is in like his late 30s, early 40s.
Mm-hmm.
So, published in the United States of America. So, it doesn't give me the year, just says published in the United States of America. Oh, copyright 2015. So, relatively recent.
Yeah, in 5 years.
Yeah. Okay.
When my sister-in-law's sister was married, she wanted to marry very Orthodox and told her parents to find her a nice Orthodox guy. And the wedding was being planned by the bride's family, and the groom's family. Rabbi said, nope, it wasn't Orthodox enough. And they weren't even any of the, particular clans of rabbis that I know. But no, and I don't know whether it came down to how long the cuffs on the sleeves of the blouses were, but there was nothing that the bride's family had. Their rabbi wasn't kosher enough. The hall wasn't kosher enough. The caterer wasn't kosher enough, so they sighed and gave in and let the groom's family run it.
Mm-hmm.
And they were all Orthodox.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Interesting. Okay, verse 2 in Numbers 36. Molly, do you want to read?
36:2. They said, the Lord commanded my lords who assigned the land to the Israelites as shared by lot. And my Lord was further commanded by the Lord to assign the share of our kinsman Zelophehad to his daughters.
Okay, so let's read the Sephoria, the ancient commentator, and then I will read you some commentaries from the, I didn't put them on this source sheet, but it's from Women Commentary. I will read it to you. So who wants to read the Sephoria commentary?
I guess I will.
Okay,
Which, who?
if a tribe, you don't need to read Hebrew, if a tribe,
If a tribe would occupy land belonging to that of another tribe, the purpose of sharing out of the land by lottery would not have been carried out. The Torah speaks of the daughters of Zelophehad possibly marrying out of their tribe and their ancestral heritage, therefore becoming part of another tribe, that of their husbands.
wait, give me a second. Ilana can't find the link, so I want to I want to send her the link for today. 1 second. How do I send? Oops. Hold on. Sorry about that. Hold on. I have her email. Okay. There she is. Okay. I'll tell her that I just emailed. Sorry about that. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was done.
You were done. Right. 1 sec. Sorry. Okay. So, if trouble land by the lottery would not have been carried out towards this. All right. So it's the first time now that we hear of those daughters. So it started with the previous verse, right? The fact that the land was going to be distributed, and that women have to marry with men because of the tribe, so that the land will stay within the tribe. And now we hear of the daughters of Zelophehad. Okay, so let me read from the Women's Commentary. First, on assign the land as shares. At the heart of the issue stand two related laws. First, the requirement that the land allotted to each tribe should belong to that group permanently. Second, that at the 50-year jubilee, land that has been transferred or sold returns to the permanent owner. And that was from the Leviticus. I don't know if you remember, in Leviticus, there's a detailed discussion regarding the land and what to do with it during the 7th year and the Jubilee year, which is the 50th year, right? So that's the Jubilee year when we let the land rest, the 50th year. And there are many laws, not only about letting the land rest from farming, but also all sorts of laws that come up regarding owning someone the money and forgiving the debt. We've studied that, I think, right? We've touched on that. Do you recall that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what they're talking about here. So it says, second, that at the 50-year jubilee, land that has been transferred or sold returns to the permanent owner. So it goes back to, in other words, to the original tribe. Another commentary is that the relatives do not question the legitimacy of the daughter's claim or the divine origin of the allotment of land to them. Okay? So that is, oh, here's Alana. That would be participants. So that would be the explanation to this verse by the modern commentaries, women commentaries, by the way, which was compiled by the female rabbis. And I think it was produced perhaps like, I want to say 10 years ago or so.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to Numbers verse 3, 36:3. Who wants to read?
I suppose I can.
Okay.
Now, if they marry persons from another Israelite tribe, their share will be cut off from our ancestral portion and be added to the portion of the tribe into which they marry. Thus, our allotted portion will be diminished.
Right. So what's happening here before we go into Russia? What's happening here? Let's make sense of this.
If the daughters outmarry from their tribe, then their possessions, including the land, go with them to the other tribe.
Right. But at the same time, they cannot inherit if they are not married. They can't possess this land. It's
Right.
only if they're married to someone, then this land passes on to the husband and the husband's family. So if they marry within the tribe, then the land will stay within the tribe. If they marry outside of their tribe, then the tribe loses that land.
But
That's-
didn't the daughters of Zelophehad inherit from their father, but there were no sons? The land of their
Well,
fathers?
we'll get there. So they eventually are going to try to convince Moses. So Moses pleads for them before God that they are going to have that land by themselves, right? But
Yeah.
the only way the daughters would get that land if they marry to someone, and so it's like their family's land, but not really their land. If they're not married, they lose it. Very unfair, right?
If they're not married, where do they get to live? Do they live on that land?
Good question. I will make a research. I do not have an answer for you. But I mean, theoretically, based on this text, they are left without inheritance. So they're not going to have anything
Mhm.
based on
But
that.
if-
That's why they plead. No, but that's why later they're going to plead, because otherwise, what if we don't get married? We're losing everything.
But if they don't get married and they get it, then what happens to the land when they die?
We'll find out. It's coming up. Okay, Rashi. Who wants to read Rashi?
I'll read.
Okay.
And if they become wives to any sons of the other tribes, then will their inheritance be added to the inheritance of the tribe whereunto they shall belong. For her son will be her heir, and the son reckons his pedigree after his father's tribe.
Any thoughts on that?
So what happens to the mother's land?
It's not her land anymore.
It's not. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's not her land
I
anymore.
know it's not her land, so what happens to that?
But
What happens to it? If it's not her, it doesn't, who does it belong to?
The husband.
So,
No, she's not married. right?
Arlene,
But if she's married, it's both of theirs, isn't it?
yes. If she's married, it's her. Essentially, it's her husband's. It's not really hers. It only goes with her when she's as a dowry, essentially.
Oh,
seems like what is being potentially set up, which is maybe why the way you began it, is there could be a very disproportionate amount of land depending on who marries who. And the 12 tribes, which were supposed to have, I guess, somewhat equal portions, if not completely equal, can become very unequal in terms of portions long term.
Mm-hmm.
I'm confused when it says for her son will be her heir. But he's
I
getting
mean, but her sons will have the land. I know it says her heir, but because they're sons, they inherit the land of the family essentially, because she's married. So they will inherit hers in the land that came with her, but now belongs to the tribe. and
The
to
father's tribe.
husband, exactly,
Okay.
It's the old thing that women can't own anything.
right,
And if she had any daughters, they'd be in the same
position.
boat that she's in that they end up with nothing and have to hope that they marry and their husbands and their tribe are generous to them.
Right. Exactly. Arlene, they're good comment. Okay, moving on to Targum. Ilana, welcome back. I mean, we met a couple times.
Oh, what a struggle. Targum,
Targum in English.
but if this marry into any of the tribes of the children of Israel, their inheritance will be withdrawn from that of our fathers and will be added to the inheritance of the tribe, which will have become theirs, and our lot will be diminished.
So it's essentially the same meaning in different words.
Yeah.
These are the tribes of, let's say, whose women are married into different tribe, whose fathers possess a certain land. They're losing it, right? So in this passage, the certain Israelites are lamenting the fact that if those women will marry outside the tribe, the family will lose the land. Now, the
Yeah.
people who are talking, they're not their sons. I mean, they're not women's brothers necessarily. Maybe they're the women's cousins is possible, right? You understand that?
Yeah.
And here's from the women's commentary. If they marry, on the phrase, if they marry, our ancestral portion be added to the tribe into which they marry. So here's what the women commentary say. There are three ways to explain the concern about the loss of the clan's land. Most likely, the complaint anticipates that the inherited land will eventually belong to the women's sons, and thus, if the husband is from another tribe, and that's what we were saying, no longer be part of the Gilad or Menashe tribe. It is also possible that the complaint implies that the women belong to the clan of their husband when they marry, and therefore their land also belongs to that tribe. Our third, but least likely, possibility is that the complaint implies that in marriage, the land will become the husband's property. Okay? So all those three things that we hypothesize as well, right?
Mhm.
And Alana, here we go. So you actually joined at the perfect time. You see this long Hebrew passage? The Sephardi didn't have translation. I tried to translate. I didn't have time to really write it out. So I sort of have an idea. So I would ask you to help me there.
Okay,
First,
so
wait, hold on. But first, I want you to read it in the proper Hebrew so everyone appreciates the beautiful Hebrew.
והיו לאחד מבני שבטי בני ישראל לנשים, כשיהיו נשים לאנשי שבט אחר, אז יהיו שתי נגרעות. מצד הנחלה הפרטית שכל משפחה נחלו חלק פרטי לפי מספר אנשי המשפחה, וכשימות אחד מהם, ירשו בניו או אחיו, ותישאר החלוקה לנחלת המשפחה כמו שהייתה בלי גירעון. אבל כשינשאו לשבט אחר, נגרעה נחלתן מנחלת אבותינו, כי ירשום הבנים, השייכים למשפחה אחרת, ונגרעה נחלה במשפחה הזאת, וזאת שנית, מה שנוגע להגורל, שהוא הגביל תחום כלל השבט, ואתה תתערב בו נחלה של שבט אחר, שאינו תחומו וגורלו, והוא חסרון הגורל, שהגביל תחום כל שבט, בייחוד ועזה, ומגורל נחלתנו יגרע.
Nice. Wasn't that beautiful? Good job, Alana. How did you learn to speak Hebrew so fluently? All right. So So, all right, let's start. והיו לאחד מבני שבטי בני ישראל לנשים. So this is the phrase from the Torah, right? And so there were to one of the לאחד מבני שבטי בני ישראל לנשים. To correct me if I'm wrong. To one of the sons of the tribes of the Israelites were to women. Am I translating it right? Or should I start with V'hayu lenashim? Hold on, let me
Yes.
if they V'hayu lenashim. Now the married person from another Israel tribe will be the last portion. Yeah, I don't know. Was I correct in my translation?
I'm not sure. Say it again.
Okay. And so it was to one of the sons of the tribes of Israel to their women or to their wives.
Yeah. So what does that mean?
Exactly. So, what does, so we're reading now what it means. When if there were women, lianshay shevet to the people of the tribe, of another tribe,
A different tribe, right?
a different tribe. So usually it would be two migraot. What is it? Two different lands.
Two drawbacks.
Two drawbacks. From the from on one hand, what's a hanchala?
Mitzad hanachala, it's the side of the property, the private property.
Oh, the pratit is private, so that the side of the private property that all the family,
that the whole family, or that every family inherited
this part.
There is a private part, depending on the number of the people in the family.
Right.
And once one of them
dies, then the inheritance,
his sons or brothers will inherit.
Will remain.
Will remain.
Apart.
The split. And the property of the family will remain.
What does it? Hold on. What does giron mean? כמו שהייתה בלי גירון.
Without losing. Without
as if it was without losing.
Right.
Doesn't this all mean that when a woman marries, she basically gives all of her economic holdings to her husband, and no matter what happens after that, it does not go back to a woman. If the husband dies, it goes to a son. If there's no son, it goes to the brother of the husband. Kind of like the way it was in the 1800s in England and the US. Women could own nothing.
Yeah, except they have an exception here, that if they are going to marry into another, that's a continuation to another tribe, then they're going to lose their property, the part of the property from the property of the fathers.
Basically, whither she goeth, there goeth the land.
And everything else she owns, and it no longer belongs to her, no matter what. She's at the mercy. Women were at the mercy of men.
Yes, for sure.
You are absolutely right.
Yes.
And sometimes still are.
No matter what twist it is, whether it's this tribe or another tribe, no matter what, they are not entitled to the property.
It's kind of like the property is their dowry. And the dowry goes to the husband and stays with the husband or the male children or his brothers.
Right, but I really want to finish this passage. So, אבל כשינסעו לשבט, but when it's going to belong
No,
to,
no, when they marry into
oh,
another.
yinasu from the word to marry, right? Oh, but if they will be married into a different tribe, then it will cause
They will lose the property, the part of the property from the fathers, because that property is going to be inherited by the sons who belong to another family. Don't ask me why, but
So no. Okay, so in other words, their sons are not going to belong anymore to her family. Her sons are going to be part of the different tribe. That's what it means.
okay.
Okay, keep going.
But so they're going to lose the property from their father's property because the sons are going to inherit it, and the sons sons who belong to a different family,
Right.
which is going to lose its property. And secondly, this is what has to do with fate. Fate. I think that's what it is.
Yep.
Gora's fate.
Yeah, Goral, fate, absolutely. Goral is fate.
Limits the boundary for the tribe, and now it's mixed with property of another tribe, which its boundary and its fate is the loss
Yeah,
of
but yeah,
the fate. Loss of the fate that limited the boundaries of the tribe. That's the consolation.
great. Thank you so much. So,
All right.
so in other words, it again proves the same point that was said that, okay, so women, in other words, are not, it's not their land. It's only
No.
attached to them as they are going to marry someone either within the tribe or outside of the tribe.
Okay.
And again, each tribe, of course, is interested in a daughter marrying only within the tribe. So here we go. That's
All right.
part
So-
of the reason. Part of the reason why we have intermarriage within the family. Go ahead.
All right. So basically, if a woman from tribe A marries a man from tribe B, she is now a part of tribe B and all of her children.
Right.
Yeah.
And the land. That should be that
Right.
done.
How much differentiation was there in the characteristics of the tribes? You know, when Jacob blesses the 12 sons, and he says, you know, you're this, and you know, was there something to be gained by a woman looking to marry outside of her tribe because it would be sort of like marrying up, or was that not really even a factor? You know?
Yeah, it was a
I've never seen
factor.
anything.
Other tribe gained. If she married from another tribe, some of her property went to the other tribe.
I'm not talking about the property per se. What I'm asking is someone from the tribe of, let's say, Reuben wants to marry into the tribe of Dan. And I'm just picking 2 out of the 12.
Right.
Is there any commentary about that in any sense? Because
I
that
can,
would seem to have some
In
effect
other
on-
words, were his descriptions of the tribe merely descriptions, or were they predictions and giving them a position? This tribe is always warlike and this tribe is poor, so it's better, and this tribe will do well. So there is something positive associated with each, and one's on the bottom of the pecking order.
Wasn't there a hierarchy of tribes with the Kohanes being the highest and
Yeah, but the Kohens and the Levites don't possess the land.
They have no property. I was going to ask about that separately.
If they have no
Where do
property.
they live? They kind of move around.
They live in the premises of the temple or they're a designated area. They don't have land. They can't inherit land.
Yes, they service the temple. That was a fate.
They live by the either Mishkan, or when the temple was built, they lived in the premises of temple.
Even the question too, were marriages arranged at that time, or did people have free will to
Well, of
choose?
course arranged. We read about it in the stories of our forefathers.
Right. So if they're arranged, then why would someone, whoever that person or people, whomever did the arrangement, why would they arrange for someone to marry outside the tribe?
That's a good question. Maybe there were cases when it was not arranged, or maybe there were cases when there was absolutely no other person who would take a woman in that tribe, just like in the Orthodox community, where you have sometimes a woman that's the family had a history of the inappropriate behavior, whatever, and the matchmaker would have a very hard time to find a husband for that girl within the community, and so they would then go and look outside as much as they don't want to, but the obligation to marry a girl would be priority over marrying her within the tribe. So even if they don't find the appropriate suitor within the tribe, then they have to look outside.
Okay.
Does it make sense?
Yeah, but my thing would be, if she doesn't get married, the property stays in the tribe. So they're not losing that property.
Yeah, but then they're not having any land of their own. The tribe doesn't lose the property, but they do. You understand? It would probably
But
go to
right, but she's losing no matter what.
Yes.
She's getting nothing either way.
Well, she's
But at least the tribe keeps the property.
No, she's losing, but I mean, on a paper she's losing, but she will be, if it's her husband's, then she'll be farming there, whatever. She'll be, part of, she would live on that property. But if she loses, then she has nothing. Right?
Okay.
Now, if she marries a Levite who do not own property, she loses her property back to the tribe. That's a question. Back to her tribe.
Yeah, I would think then the land would stay with a tribe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thing is, if they're not allowed to inherit the land in their own right, if they don't get married, then they aren't able to profit from farming the land and have an income and live some way. They would be dependent on the charity of whoever would take them in and shelter them. If they are able to inherit it and don't marry, then when they die, the land remains with the tribe, but meanwhile, they will have been able to live in their own right.
I'm going to guess that if she doesn't marry, when she dies, the property probably goes to the closest male.
It goes back up the line.
There is.
Exactly, like cousins, male, right? Right. Okay, Numbers 36:4. Who didn't go yet? Who wants to read 36:4?
I'll read.
Okay.
And even when we're doing
36:4.
And even when the Israelites observe the Jubilee, their share will be added to that of their tribe into which they marry, and their share will be cut off from the ancestral portion of our tribe.
Okay, let's read Rasha's explanation. Arlene, can you continue?
English only.
Yes, English only.
And when there will be the Jubilee, Then will their inheritance be added to the inheritance of the tribe to which they shall belong. Meaning, this is no sale of land so that it returns to the original owner at the Jubilee. For a heritage never returns. Therefore, even when the Jubilee will be, the inheritance will not return to its tribe, and it will follow that it will be added to the inheritance of the tribe to which they shall belong.
In other words, you can't return the land. Once it's given to the other tribe, it stays in that tribe.
I guess this is kind of saying, no way, no how is the land coming back to the original tribe.
Yep. Let me read the commentary from Women's Commentary. According to Jubilee laws, sold or mortgaged ancestral land returns to its original owner over 50 years. We heard that. That's in Leviticus 25. The land of the daughters would remain permanently with them in their heirs, and thus potentially a part of the clan into which they marry. So in other words, even though there's a law to return it to the original owner, but if it belonged to women, then it no longer belongs to the tribe.
Therein lies the problem.
Yeah.
And it seems to go against the grain of the spirit of the Jubilee law.
That's right.
Because again, I mean, yeah, on one level you got a woman-man inheritance factor. That's certainly one thing. But then again, you're going to have tribes that are going to lose land. You know, the tribe of Reuben might lose a lot of physical land if the daughter's married out to another tribe.
Right.
It could be right in the middle of their territory too, if we follow that rule.
So let's read what Ibn Ezra had to say. Molly, can you read that one?
Even in the event that we will, is that the one? No.
And even when the Yovel, Ibn Ezra on Numbers 36:4.
And
It's
even
here, look at this.
Yovel, we will not hope to return the inheritance to us. It will always just be an addition to the inheritance of the tribe.
So again, this coincides with what the women in the commentary said, right? That there is no hope to return this land. And let's look at Sephorna, a little more explanation there. Marcia, would you mind?
Okay. Even in the event that we will not now conquer the whole land, as predicted in Exodus 23:30, that the land will be conquered in stages progressively, so that each tribe would have to conquer the area it laid claim to. A person who had sold his share or potential share could not claim exemption from the war of conquest, seeing that the land he had sold would be restored to him in the Jubilee year. In any event, it would remain part of his tribe's ancestral heritage. However, the share given to the daughters of Zelphakad, which would not be restored to their tribe in the Jubilee year, would furnish an excuse to members of their tribe not to bother to fight for that piece of land, and they would allow the present owners to remain there. At any rate, the argument of the family of Machir of Menashe was that the most recent legislation could result in the whole principle of sharing out the land by lottery being partially aborted.
Right. Interesting.
Wow.
That last part is a little different twist on the whole thing. I mean, I think that the attorneys who are dealing with a property would find this fascinating, don't you think?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Any attorneys there? Anybody who has a connection with that particular business?
Yeah, my family's business, my father, grandfather, all that, they were all real estate attorneys. They're fascinated.
That's what I meant.
Fascinated by this. Exactly. You know, it was always about, you know, who owns what title to the property, where the boundaries are. You know, that was the nature of the business.
There's also a women's lib issue that women should be able to own and keep what's theirs.
Okay, so
Wait,
we're jumping to verse 6 now. Who wants to read Numbers 36:6?
I guess I will.
Okay, go ahead, Ellen.
This is what the Lord has commanded concerning the daughters of Zephaniah.
All right, can I just say it one for everybody?
Say it.
Ze- Ze laf echad.
Zelachaphat.
Ze laf echad. Yeah.
They may marry anyone they wish, provided they marry into a clan of their father's tribe.
Okay. Let's look at Targum. Ellen, go ahead and continue reading in Targum.
This is the thing that the Lord hath commanded, not for the generations that shall arise after the division of the land, but for the daughters of Zelphad, saying that they may be the wives of them who are proper in their eyes. Only such must be of the families of their father's tribe.
So in other words, they can, who might be proper in their eyes. In other words, those who they actually would like, not necessarily in prearranged marriage. That's what it means. And in the women's commentary on they may marry anyone they wish. The free choice of spouses granted to the 5 sisters is especially significant in the context of the ancient world because it excludes any male relative who wishes to claim the more typical role of a guardian married to married to sons of their I lost where it continues. Guardian. It's so weird. It goes like really weird here. Hold on. Oh, I found it. Okay. A guardian for the unmarried daughters. Contrast this with the status of the heiress in classical Athens, who is subject to the automatic control by a male relative in regard to marriage as the way of protecting the preserving family property. So in other words, under the pretense of being the guardian, they becoming the actual possessor of the land. And on the phrase, provided they marry into a clan of their father's tribe, from a modern perspective, this restriction might appear as a step back after the forward steps in Numbers 27, since God's law granted the land to the sisters in Numbers 27 with no strings attached. Practically speaking, however, the freedom to choose a spouse from their clan is less constricting than it might seem, given the size of this tribe.
Okay, I was wondering about that.
Yeah.
If after a while, if the tribe were not large, there might not be anyone permissible to marry within, given the other restrictions on what degree of marriage you can have. If it's large enough, there's no problem.
Right.
I guess it would be if we had 600,000 adult males, that would be about 50,000 on average per tribe of men. How many eligible bachelors? I guess that's another question.
Well, but how many women?
Well, they didn't even have to be bachelors at that time, just.
I guess not.
Yeah, that's
It makes you really wonder about the origin of all this, in the context of how we view it today, in terms of, women being treated equal. And why did it have so many centuries of inequality? Is always a question that I've wondered about. In the context of living in ancient days, I just think it's a fascinating area to say, how did it come to this in the first place?
Well, because women were never thought of as really important in the everyday life. And this is probably also why it was always a mazel when a baby was born and it was a boy, and okay, it's a girl. I mean, the tribes, the men and the boys were much more valuable because they would keep the land in the tribe, whereas the women was a large chance that they would take the land with them out of the tribe.
Yeah, I agree. It's just why did it even come to that in the first place in ancient times? You know,
If you look back,
Also, men have to do the fighting and the hard work. The women just do the, you know, the scut work and so on, but men,
Wait, whoa.
Yeah, yeah.
Wait, what do you mean not a hard work? Women do hard work.
yes, I know, but how has women's labor traditionally been seen? A man goes out and works, and the woman stays home and does the household stuff. Never mind that if a man who is widowed had to hire people to do all the work that his wife did, he'd be out of pocket a shitload. Excuse me. phrase,
But that's not
reality.
true amongst the Orthodox. The Orthodox men sit and read Torah, and the women do all the work.
Not all of them.
Well,
On Shabbat, but you know, the dream of a bride is to find the scholar, right?
yes.
But if they end up marrying a scholar, they end up carrying much harder burden than the women who are married into men who are working.
And of course, there's a praise of the woman in, is it Proverbs? She goeth forth and she earns and she's wise and she makes money and brings it into the household. A woman without price, that whole bit, I've forgotten where it is.
I don't know,
Women did work, but to some extent in the desert tribes, when you're invading somewhere, you need guys who are going to be able to go out and fight and hold the land. So certainly at that time, men are more valued.
But I just wonder, you know, why there wasn't so-called women's movement 3,500 years ago. You know, why did it take so long to get to a point of even recognition? I mean, you know, we take these things, you know, hopefully for granted, at least in our community. It's just very challenging to understand how that.
I was reading the Wikipedia on the daughters of Zelophehad, and
Good job, Claudia, pronouncing.
Huh?
Good job pronouncing.
Oh, thank you. Maimonides and the other rabbinical commentators went with the inheritance laws that went by male, the father to the siblings, to the grandfather, to the nearest male heir. And that was how the Pharisees later saw the implications. But the Sadducees argued that if there were only female descendants and the sons themselves were dead, then the individual's daughters had the right to inherit. And Job's daughters were given equal shares of inheritance with his sons, and the Karaites always...
Wait. Hold on. Job was not Jewish.
But his book is in the Bible.
No, his book is in the Bible, but he's not Jewish. We're talking about Jewish tribes.
But even
Don, to answer your question as to why did it take so long, I think that even the women were beaten, not literally, but beaten into accepting the concept that they were not smart enough or good enough to actually own things, that only men were wise enough to know how to own something and how to make more profit.
I hear what you're saying. It's very hard for me to, you know, really understand how that could be for so long. It's yeah.
God, if you want to be wise enough, you keep your mouth shut in this group. Actually, some of this discussion reminds me of Rabbi Safin was talking to the confirmation class. He was talking about dating non-Jewish fellas. And he said to the girls there, aren't there any Jewish kids in your class? And she said, yes, but they're all dorks.
Oh.
I've heard that before.
All right, so
I would say the main reason was lack of education. Women just...
Sometimes you have to go out of the tribe.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, everybody, for great discussion. I'm going to jump on actually class I'm taking with Hartman Institute, and I'm planning on bringing some of the wisdom I'm learning from there to you, perhaps next week. Speaking of job, I'm taking this second session on job, which is fascinating. So I'm thinking of doing it next Wednesday. Stay tuned. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
On your,
Bye.
I wanted to say, hold on, I want to say that the rest
Everybody
of
stay
the
well.
material, the rest of the passages, you can go through them, but they pretty much talk about the same, so.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
It's all
Thank you. Bye.
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 Bye.